Hello again, welcome back. This is another video from the Taurus Sisters Retreat. I hosted this obviously in person back in May in Michigan, but I'm putting the videos out there for free for all of you. Don't forget, all of you should go and get the retreat kit. It's a free download. The link is in the description below. And this is especially important for like this video. Some of the workshops, the speakers gave out a handout, and the link to the handout is in here. So go get this, it's free. Also on my website, I have a magazine, a print magazine that I will mail to your house. It has biblically clean recipes. It has articles about Sabbath, articles about the feast, tips, inspiration, ideas, spiritual growth, encouragement, DIY projects. Like, it has everything. And it's all written and done in a way for women who love Yeshua and keep Torah. So it's just wonderful for us. So go and enjoy that. This video has Kayte Abaffy, her talk from her workshop. She has a couple websites. Number one, thewaydoc.com, and also kayteabaffy.com. And her workshop is titled The Easiest Way to Transform Any Relationship. So I know that you will love Kayte as I do, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.
Okay, full disclosure, I have so much energy in my body right now. I'm so like, I'm just very, very, very excited. Okay. All right, so today is all about relationships. And here's the goal. You ready? Over the course of the next hour, Lord willing, we are going to transform one of your relationships without the other person even being in the room. How does that sound? Great! Okay. I guess she already introed me a little bit, and there's some written about all the workshop speakers or whatever in that brochure that you got, but I'm Kayte. She talked about the way and the truth and the documentaries and stuff that my husband and I have worked together to create. A new part of my life that's been simmering for a while is as a coach, a life coach, which you're like, I can just live. Why do I need a coach? You don't, actually, but if you want one, I'm your girl. I was trying to explain or put into words what coaching is, because it's are you a soccer coach? No. And the best way I can think to describe it is, have you ever on your phone or your computer tried to download an app or a new program, and you got this error message like, this is not compatible with your old operating system? I always have old phones. You're going to have to upgrade your operating system, and then you can run the program. For me, our mindset, our repetitive thoughts, those strongholds in our mind, our behavior, those patterns that we run can often be like the old operating system that does not allow the new vision that God's placed on your heart to run in your life. So you actually have to take every thought captive, renew your mind, and see yourself and Him and the world in a brand new way so that you can actually move forward on the goals that He's placed in your life. Does that make sense? And it basically happens just by conversation. We get on a video call and I poke and prod and I ask you things and things shift and changes happen just through talking and exercises and stuff like that. So that's just to hopefully demystify what are you even saying. Now, underneath all of your seats is a little box. This is my Oprah moment. I was watching that episode when she had Oprah's favorite things. And she's like, look under your seat. And she had all her favorite things she was giving away. And this particular audience was all teachers. And the first lady pulls out this set of car keys and starts losing her mind. And then the next lady and the next. And she's like, you get a car. You get a car. Everybody gets a car. And it was so exciting. And I was like, wow. So I wanted to do that. So look under your seat. Grab the box. Don't open it until it's in everyone's hand. This is just a little goodie for you to nibble on while we talk. My mom and dad are amazing, and they help me assemble all 130 little boxes and fill them with a little treat for you guys. So it's just a little snacky. So on the count of 3, we're going to open them. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Go ahead. You can open it now. I know it says don't open, but... Do you know what it is? Are you thrilled to have a kale chip? Was it what you expected? What did you expect? Today is all about expectations, you guys. The box was pretty, you thought it was chocolate, it was not chocolate. It created discomfort within you. Just like the expectations we bring to our relationships, our expectations color our experience.
It's delicious.
Great! I actually do have chocolate for you, so now we can circulate these to wash down the kale. I wanted you to be like slightly disappointed about the kale, but then I was like, these people love clean eating, so this might backfire. The reason why I wanted to focus on expectations is because there's something that is totally within our control. And often we have discomfort and crunchiness in our relationships because we're putting a lot of emotional energy on the other person's treatment of us, opinion of us, their actions, their behaviors, essentially all the things we can't control about the dynamic. But the expectations that we bring are something that we can control, and so that's why we're going to focus on that today. Just to frame this a little bit, I have, Luke and I have 2 sons. Max is 5 and Sam is 2. We love them. They're beautiful children. I mean, I think they're beautiful, but so imagine if my 2-year-old son Sam came and he came to me, he was all excited and he was like, "Mommy-a," they call me Mommy-a and Daddy-a, and they add "ia" to the end of everything. "Mommy-a, I peed in the toilet." Well, half of it's in the toilet and half of it's on the floor next to the toilet. I would be like, "Whoa, that's amazing! I haven't even been potty training you. Like, how did you get half of your pee into the toilet?" I'd be like shocked that he even like accomplished that feat, you know? And I'd be so glad, even though there was pee on the toilet and some in the, because wow. If my husband came to me and he was like, "Where are the rags? Half of the pee that I was peeing landed on the floor," I wouldn't be so thrilled as I would be for my son. Well, yeah, I would, because my expectation is that my 2-year-old doesn't have this skill. My husband should be an expert at this point. In both scenarios, there's pee on the floor. In one of them, I'm thrilled. Expectations are a big deal, right? It's like the exact same outcome, but the expectation colors it. If as we talk, something resonates with you, and you like it, you can say something. My favorite is, "That's good." When George Moss was talking, I was like burning. I was like, "That's good," But I didn't want to be like, everyone comes from like different sort of churches. Like, I'm not sure how chatty your church is or whatever, but yeah. I wouldn't mind it, "That's good," every once in a while. Do you want to practice? 1, 2, 3. That's good. We're going to go through 7 expectations that are actually harmful to our relationships. As I name each one, I'm going to have you guys think about whether or not you do that or bring that to the relationship that you've chosen that you want to improve during this hour. And then, if so, there's kind of a follow-up question to help reframe that expectation in your head. Does that make sense? So the front of your sheet is the side that has this little blank that on the top that says, "I'd love to improve my relationship with." You see that? So I want you to just start by thinking of a person that you would like to improve your relationship with them. It doesn't need to be a horrible relationship. It could be one that even, could use a little tweak. And then write the name of that person in the blank. The front is the one that says at the top, "I'd love to improve my relationship with blank." So pick a person, put their name in there. Everything you write is super confidential, so don't feel censored. So it goes like this. I won't expect other people to, and then we'll fill in some different blanks. So the first one is, do what I would do. So I'll give an example first. So our son Max is very, he likes to be involved in things. When Luke was building the house, he wanted to be all in it. And one day I look out on our front porch and he was 4. He had a drill and he was drilling pilot holes into a piece of scrap wood alone. And I was like, who gave you a drill? And he's like, Daddy-a. And another time, our house is solar. It's off the grid. So in the winter, Luke goes on the roof to scrape the snow off so we can continue to have like a running fridge. And he was like, Mommy, can I go on the roof? And I was like, I don't know. It's slippery up there. I don't know. He's like, Daddy already said I could go. I'm like, why are you asking me? A lot of times us moms expect the dads to watch the kids as if they were moms. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, that's good.
I'm just going to leave that right there. Okay, so I want you to think about the person whose name you wrote in the blank. And just take a second to reflect. Are there any ways in which I'm expecting this person to behave the way that I would in situations versus the way that they naturally would act or react? So just sort of marinate on that for a moment and write your answer down. And the answer might be no. Don't feel like you have to stir something up that's not there. The follow-up question to reframe this a little bit, the way you're thinking about it and the expectation you're holding in the relationship, is to think, what's one thing that's wonderful about the difference in our approaches to life or just anything? So going back to the dad watching the kids example, you might think, me as a wife and a mom, a woman, I bring something particular to the lives of my children. And then he, as their dad, brings something else. He's expanding their capacity. He's teaching them limits. He's teaching them how to use their bodies and their power, and all sorts of things. And if he didn't have that perspective, our children would miss out. And so it's actually a benefit that he doesn't watch the kids exactly the same way that I would. So you can think about that when you think of some of those differences between you and the person you wrote down that grate on you. Just try to think of one way in which those differences are actually a good thing. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I just have too many people I'm considering.
Pick one person. You know what?
That's my trouble.
If you want, go home later and do this with the rest of the people. They don't have to know. You could do it with all them later. Just start with the most urgent. The most troublesome. How many people wrote down a spouse? Just like show hands. How many people wrote down a child? How many people said a parent? Coworker? Pesky neighbor? Okay. Sister? Sibling? Okay, all right, we're going to keep rolling. Number 2, I won't expect other people to be coming from a bad place. There's nowhere I see this more clearly than in the political climate right now. I'm going to get some of you guys again. I've probably done it too. Raise your hand if you have either said or have heard someone say about their political opponents, the other side, they're just trying to destroy America. Have you heard this? They're trying to destroy the country. They're trying to tear it down and blow it up. Okay, I get this. Because as people who know God and who know His Word and principles, when you see the exact opposite being pushed so heavily, and you know that is what actually is happening. However, unless you are actually Dr. Evil, you're probably not actually trying to destroy America. There are probably some people, maybe, who actually are, but for the average Joe, Jane, whatever, that's not the goal. They're trying to remake it in a way that they see better according to their mindset and their paradigm. They're trying to recreate it in the image of justice and goodness that they have. They're not trying to destroy it. Even if that's the fruit of the action, that's not the motive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Hey, did somebody say that's good? The reason why this particular expectation causes so much damage in relationships is because it feels so icky to have your motive wrongly read and said with such confidence. When we were talking to these Christian friends we had about Torah, I remember the mom of this family said, she's so sweet, she's a really nice lady, but she said, See, the difference between us and our faith is that you guys just kind of like do your legalistic thing because you're scared of God and you don't really love him. And I do mine motivated out of love. I was like, how could you possibly tell me what my motivation is? I was so like skeeved by that. I was like, it just felt so gross. I was like, A, no. And B, no. And even though this is a person I feel very warmly towards, it made the conversation want to like shut down. I was like, if we can't even get on the common ground of like we both love our Heavenly Father and we're trying to like walk it out, if you can so confidently assume that I'm coming from a bad place, it doesn't make me eager to like continue a conversation with you. And maybe I need to like mature a little bit, but that was just the effect. And so I was like, let me not put that on other people. And I wonder what kind of conversations could open up when I assume a good motive. So on your sheet there, it has a space for you to write down and think about, have you ever assumed that someone was coming from a bad place, or the person particularly that you chose when they've acted in a certain way? And if so, how? So you can write that first. If you're kind of wrapping that up, write down what is one possible good motivation that might be driving this person's behavior that you maybe even find irritating. And an example I thought of was if you have somebody who's needy and always coming to you with a problem and always has a fire to put out, perhaps that is the way that person knows to connect with you. Perhaps they know that reaching out with a problem will get your full attention, and maybe if they don't have something to constantly present, your relationship won't be as connected. So maybe they're like trying to get connection through like always needing. That sort of thing. Does that make sense? Okay, let's keep rolling. The next one is, I won't expect other people, or you can fill in the name of the person you wrote down, to magically know what I want or need. Luke and I were driving home from Shabbat in Columbus, so maybe it was at Shannon's house, and we were like talking, about the week coming, and I was thinking, I want to take my Zumba class on Monday. And so I just started talking to him about it, and I was like, okay, I want to take Zumba on Monday, and it's like it's like 7 or something, like a really inconvenient time, like dinner time. And I was like, I just need you to watch the boys, and like can you just move it? And I started talking about how much I needed a break and how it was like, I just love being able to like sweat it out and dance. This is a black light Zumba class, so it's dark in the room, and the instructor has like glow in the dark thingy dings, and you're like dancing and going crazy, and no one can see you, which I love. And you sweat, it's fun for an hour. But I just began to like unload on him how much I needed the break, and I was just like, I was getting frustrated, and I even started to feel like, because you have Frisbee on Thursday and poker, and like you see all your friends all the time, and like I'm like home, and so much was coming up, and he was like, whoa. He was like, I'm happy to watch the boys, that's fine, like go for it. I'll watch them anytime, just tell me when stuff is coming up. And he was like, taken aback a little bit by how much I brought to just asking him to watch the kids for an hour for Zumba, like he was happy to. And it made me realize, I probably should have mentioned this a long time ago, that I like this and that it's important to me. I must have been... Do you know what I mean? Suppressing, not saying it for a long time, and that's why it came up with such force. Who's good at saying what you need? Raise your hand. 3 of you, okay. Who doesn't always say what you need? Why do we do that? Taking care of others. Do you sometimes not know what you want? Is that ever it? Man, we've got to unpack this. I don't even know the answer. I just think it's interesting. You know what you don't want. Yes, so true. Yes. There's something juicy there. None of us are saying what we need. Go ahead. Because we know people's plate is already pretty full. We don't want to like put more. Yeah, it does. Like sometimes when you're in your own crunchiness, yeah, it feels good to come out of that and like connect with and serve someone else and help meet their need. It needs something for you in a way too. Yeah.
Maybe they'll communicate what they need, but then the needs still won't get met.
If I don't say it, I can't be disappointed for it not being fulfilled. A lot of nods on that. Okay, that's resonating. Yeah, Heidi.
Us having to say it feels like they should have known.
You should have just known that I wanted to have this really specific dinner at this really specific place, wearing this specific top at this specific time. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like if you love me, you already know. You should know. That's true. Yeah, so admitting a need would be like showing your cards that you want to do all these things. You have these high expectations for yourself that maybe you can't meet, or it's like the expectations that you have for yourself. And you put a lot on yourself, and so needing to reach outside of yourself to fulfill some of that could feel a way that you don't like. All right, so go ahead and write down on your paper if there's any way in which you've expected the person you wrote down to know what you want or need without you telling them. When we communicate our needs and desires to people, it really helps to get it stated in a positive way and with even an example of how they might do that. So I could come to Luke and be like, I just need a break! That could mean 5 minutes alone in the bathroom, or that could mean an hour-long massage at the spa. We don't all think alike. So when you imagine like a break would be really nice, what's that look like for you? And how could they be involved in like making that happen? So when you think about articulating the need, just make it specific and easier, because when we say things, we don't all mean the same thing. I just want to be successful. What's that look like? I want to be financially free. What's that look like? I want to be fit. Totally different for all of us. So when you express the need, it really helps people to put a little detail on it for them. Because we know how we would do things and how we receive love and stuff. So if you don't have any detail to work off of, you just think, what would I enjoy like receiving or whatever? And yeah. The next thing is drop everything to help me with my thing. Imagine this. Okay, so you're going on vacation with your family and you're all packed up, you've got all your stuff in the car and you're already sort of late, and you look over and you realize you didn't arrange for anyone to watch your pet. Or pets. Some of you have 350 animals, which is like absurd. You guys. Oh my. And so you're all frantically calling people and you're like, okay, come over and watch the animals. Like, this is what you need to do. And I left the water here and I left the food and the keys are here. Blah, blah, blah. And then your friend says, oh, that sounds crazy. I actually am in the middle of moving. We're moving, and the door of our U-Haul flew open on the highway, and all of our furniture flew out, so I'm picking up throw pillows off the side of the interstate. I can't help you right now. I know that's a weird example, but what I'm trying to highlight is sometimes when we have an emergency, it makes us feel like no one else does either. Like no one else does. So kind of ask yourself, have I expected this person to be constantly available to me, or have I been peeved when they're not answering my phone calls? Does it make me feel like they hate my guts if they're not always ready to drop something and come over, that kind of thing? And as you think about that, the follow-up question is just think about a few of the responsibilities and priorities in that person's life that don't have to do with you. And just list them out. What are the other things on their plate? What are their other priorities? And kind of think from their perspective for a minute. They have 350 animals. And like, if you don't have time to fully unpack it, like do it in a quiet time later when you can really like marinate and dig it up. The next one is, I won't expect other people to applaud me for performing my basic responsibilities. I know, that was a zinger. That one was for me. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to tell you about my grandpa. He's passed away when he was like 92, but he was awesome. This is my mom's dad. And we would watch sports a lot in his house when we went to visit him. He loved sports. He hated in professional football when the guys would like showboat. They'd like throw down the football. They'd like walk around the field like a chicken and they'd be like, ah! You know, when they did a touchdown, they'd have these weird secret handshakes and they'd be like posing for each other, like taking fake pictures of them, and like the showboating drove him crazy. And he was from an era of like sportsmanship and like, this is your job to score touchdowns. And like, he used to say, because my dad is a accountant, a CFO, he's always done finance for nonprofits, and he's really into spreadsheets, and he's like, imagine Rosie, his name is Roosevelt, we call him Rosie, imagine Rosie, like every time he printed out a spreadsheet, he was like, I made this spreadsheet. This is the greatest spreadsheet. Look at my, like, you know, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to think about showboating, about doing your basic job. It's like a toaster is made to make toast. You don't get extra points for making toast. You're a toaster. You know? When this marker writes on the board, we're not like, wow, oh my goodness, that was amazing. You know, it's like, this is just your basic job. You don't get extra points for that. Just do it. And man, here's my confession about this one. I feel very creative. I'm still getting a handle on like the rhythms and systems that run our house smoothly and being consistent with them and all that stuff. So I know the level of effort that goes into me like activating the system and running it well. And so I'm thinking like, did anyone see that? Did you see the fact that I did it. Look at the dinner, look how clean it is, look at the laundry. Check your drawers, your laundry's in there, it's clean, it's folded, you know? Because I know that, you know when something is difficult for you, you put forth the effort, and so you may be looking for a little bit more of like praise. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't be thankful for like the stuff that we do. However, if you can't perform your duty without constant adulation, there's an issue. It is balance. So when you know someone feels love through those words, of course, don't like hold them back just so that they like do their duty. You know, show love to them in the way that will resonate. For yourself, find a way to make the work and like the pride in the work satisfying. And ultimately, we're working for our Heavenly Father. One of my favorite verses is, your Heavenly Father who sees what's done in secret will reward you. And because of my background, I started out as a young, like middle school kid acting on TV and commercials and stuff. And it was very about, you know, you're auditioning. Your goal is to stand out. Your goal is to do something different and better than everyone else. And so I had a lot of value placed in like being impressive, which now I see like became like a weird pride of life sort of issue, like wanting to be esteemed, that God's been like working out with me. So write down if there's a way in which you do that with the person that you've written down, and then what's a responsibility or a duty that you want to really just commit to doing wholeheartedly, whether or not you're going to get lavish with praise for it. The next one is, I won't expect other people to be fixated on my flaws. Be fixated on my flaws. So, I mean, I have this rotated tooth. It's like on the side. It's turned in such a way that it doesn't come out as far as all the other teeth. So like with the right lighting, it looks like I'm just like missing a tooth there. I mentioned this to Luke at one point, like after we've been married for several years. He's like, I look at your mouth every day. I like never even mentioned that. I'm like, are you kidding? That's the first thing I see. We all have that stuff like that. And I heard this therapist recently talking about social anxiety, which can be a struggle for, you know, a lot of people. And she said something that it felt kind of harsh at first, but then it was just interesting. She said, most of us think of narcissism as like the machismo, the like I'm the greatest, the Muhammad Ali, that kind of like energy. She's like, there's a flip side to it that's actually, you are so preoccupied in shaping other people's opinion of you that it actually prevents you from making any contact with them in the form of like a crippling social anxiety. I was like, that's good. Oh man, I didn't come up with that, but I just thought it was very interesting, because the nice thing is the antidote to that was to adopt a curiosity for the people around you. So when you walk into a room and you feel like, oh, do they see my tooth? Do they see my tooth? Do they see my tooth? Instead, you can think, okay, what's something that I can be curious about you when I meet you? What are your hobbies? You shift the energy into curiosity about the other person, and then it's not on you. All right, let's dive into the last one real quick. I won't expect other people to do things that I am not already doing. I was watching a video of this YouTube couple who were talking about expectations in relationships, and they have kind of a larger channel, like a following, and the husband was saying, I have this friend who called me out of the blue. It's like, man, ever since your YouTube got big, you just like, you don't call me for my birthday, you don't check in with me, I just feel like you think you're better than me now, and you're just too busy with all your stuff. And the man who received this phone call, like, he felt really bad at first. He's like, man, maybe, I guess I have been, like, neglecting this friend. And then he thought, wait a minute. He, like, went back in his phone records. He's like, this guy hasn't called me in years. He's never wished me happy birthday. Like, He doesn't do any of this stuff, but for some reason it's like a door that only swings one way, and he holds me to it. And that fell off, because there wasn't the like reciprocity. So he's like, you can't expect me to do something. It's like, you have a phone, how would you receive my call? You know? So we shouldn't expect people to do things that we're not, or like bring things that we're not bringing. Like, I wish they were just more upbeat. It's like, well, do you always just call to like nag and complain and like, whoa, and like, you know, do you bring that kind of joy and encouragement to the dynamic? So guys, thank you. Thank you for doing this. It's been really fun, and if you've gotten value out of this, if it's been rich, if it's revealed something and you want to continue this conversation and have more similar experiences, then I really encourage you to go on my website. It's just my name, KayteAbaffy.com, and it just talks about how I work with women like us. I want to work with believers especially. I have a huge passion for like, we are the people who know the creator of the universe. Our experiences of life should be kind of different from people who don't know him. I don't mean like financially bawling or anything. I mean our level of hope, peace, purpose, clarity, not confusion, joy, you know, moving forward and growing into what he has for us should be off the charts compared to somebody who doesn't have the resource of like, that's a lot of juice at our disposal, you know? That should shape our experience of how we move through our lives. And I'm very, very, very interested in can you tell? In a world where the lives of our Heavenly Father's people, our lives, are proof that He is good. Yay! Great. So anyway, if you're interested in that, check out my website. On there, if you want to just talk to me for free for a half an hour about what it might look like to help you with some of your goals, you can do that. If you're interested, though, do it kind of quickly, because I do have 2 little kids, and those times are limited, and so, you know, who knows how long they'll be available. Also, if you just want something free and interesting, every week on Sunday, I send out an email called The Question. Can you guess what the email contains? You guys are good. It just has a question, one question that you can use to start your week, very intentional and focused, and hopefully like a little bit of a better way than you did the previous week. So if you want that, go on KayteAbaffy.com and just put your email in, and I'll send you a question every Sunday.